So it's actually been a few weeks since I've got to stream on an actual Wednesday, so I haven't played that in a while. But it's still great. I still love it. I hope all of you enjoy it. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone had a good week, or 2 weeks. I did not get to stream last week. Um, why did I not stream last week? I had a dinner that I had to go to, and the whole week was pretty busy. So we skipped last week, but we're back. I'm excited. Um, Not really sure what we're going to do today. I have a couple ideas. I'll pitch them to the few of you who are here, and we can decide what today's theme is going to be. We go ahead and switch over and we can talk about it. Coding view. So, oh no, that's not accurate. This happens to me sometimes. How did I miss this? This is pointed to the wrong monitor. Oh no. There we go. That looks about right. Wouldn't be an Atom stream without some technical difficulties, right? Uh, yeah, so here's our beautiful app. If y'all were here like 2 weeks ago or whenever we streamed last, we looked at the Pixel 6 unboxing and then we added the material theming into our application. So that's why this has the color scheme that it does. It actually matches this picture of Megan and Grayson. Oh God, where's, nope, that's not it. Where is TOA? There we go. So that's why we have this like brown color scheme because it's a fall background. But yeah, that was fun. That was really cool to look at. We also have, let me show this off. We also looked at just Material 3 in general. So Material 3 is a little more than just the dynamic material use stuff, but we got to see how that changes like our color scheme and a whole bunch of stuff throughout the app. So if I were to look at where is it? Theme.kt, here we go. I want to show off sort of the if we were not in the dynamic state, what this would look like. Because honestly, I forgot what our generated color palette even looks like. But we worked on this Material 3 color palette. And so part of my ideas for what we could work on today, maybe I'll start a poll. I don't have to start a poll. We can just talk and chat. I kind of had two ideas. One of them being we can keep going with, oh, we need to fix this. This is a known issue. Um, Well, so one of the ideas being we could proceed with sort of some home screen development. We've done some of the UI work for like a task list. Um, so if you look at task list content, I believe this has a preview in it where we made like showed how to view like a list of tasks. And that's pretty much all we've done. So we could continue moving on with that sort of task list screen, building and running this on the phone. That's something that would be fun to look at. Or I also had ideas of some more like developer experience stuff that we could do. Um, Namely, like wanted to do some stuff around cleaning up like version numbers, and using a plugin that helps detect like outdated versions. So I don't know, what are we thinking? Do we want to do some more UI work? Or we could do some UI work, we could do some dev experience stuff, we could do testing. What do people want to do today? Any ideas? I think if no one says anything, I'll probably go along with wanting to clean up this home screen some more. Um, and figure out, like how to get this to look a little nicer. Um, like, as part of that being actually, it's a little buggy if we look at this because notice how both of these are white when one of these should be dark. You're here for dev experience work. Okay, we could do some of that stuff. I actually only had two things that I wanted to do, so maybe we can get through to doing both. But let's start with some of that experience cleanup I wanted to do. Okay. So what are they? Let's talk about it. So here we go. Actually, please hold. I've got an idea of something I want to do real quick. Where is it at? Um, Sorry, I'm putting in a little checklist for today's stream now that we've talked about this. And hopefully it shows up, although I don't know if that's still true. Um, oh, um, stream checklist.txt. Does that do it? Can't get the stream checklist to show up. No, there we go, kind of worked, but we have to move it over. Okay, this is our low-tech solution. I think I had a different header for it last time. Um, you see it on yours? I don't know what that means. How can you see my screen but not yours? Oh, Algaz, thank you for the follow. Okay, so here are the three things that I wanted to do, and let's talk about them. So first will be the version number refactor. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's... Let's look at our build.gradle file real quick for the app module. And I'll explain what I want to refactor. Chase from Capsule, thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. How are you doing? Um, the chat echo you have shows it, but I didn't see it anywhere else. I don't know what chat. Um, yes, everyone at Capsule is great. But okay, let's talk about this. So what I want to do is I want to change the way the version numbers in this file work. Namely the fact that, like, you see how all these are hard-coded right here? Um, this isn't great, kind of for a few reasons. Reason number one, what if you have a version number that is shared across multiple dependencies in here? For example, we have two accompanist implementations, and they have the same version number. Um, Now, that's not the worst thing in the world, right? Um, but what's not great is, like, if accompanist changes, I have to update each of them. Why not use DSL? We could. I'm just not super familiar with, like, the Kotlin Gradle scripts that I haven't bothered. Um, but the other issue with sort of having the version numbers defined here is not only in the same build.gradle file are they duplicated, but if and when we look at, like, modularization, if we have, like, the same dependency in different modules, then we have the version number defined in more places, and it just kind of blows up, right? So one thing I wanted to tackle is, well, how could we get all of these version numbers out of here and put into one central location that makes them easy to then share across modules? So that's the first step. So let's refactor this to do that. And then what this second update is, just to go over the checklist at the bottom left. So the first thing we're going to do is, yes, we're going to do the same thing I did on that template repo, exclamation point template, if you want to see the Android template app. So the first thing we're going to do is throw all these version numbers in a centralized location. Then we're going to add this Gradle plugin that we can run to automatically check for outdated dependencies. And then the third thing we're going to do is update our danger file to run that script and then output any version updates into a danger comment on the pull request. So every time we make a pull request, we'll know if there's something out of date that we can update. So hopefully that plan makes sense. If it does, let's dive into this, and let me show you how I like to do this. So our project should already have, we have this build scripts folder where we have a handful of Gradle files for different things. So I'm going to make a new one here, and I'm going to call this versions.gradle. And for Gradle reasons, I don't know, we need this, like, extension thing. But then we define versions as an array, and then, or rather, this isn't really an array, but like a dictionary um, of our version numbers. So let's start with the first one. So, like, KTX core is 160. So what we do in here is we say, the version number we want, or sort of the name for it, followed by the version number. And we'll just go through the whole line and eventually move all of our version numbers in here. So then what we can do is we can go over into app. We are going to need to make these double quotes, but then we could do root project dot ext dot versions dot ktx core. And if we do like a Gradle sync, all of this should work. But now we're going to do kind of the tedious work where we're going to go down this whole list together and do that. Oh, why did I? Because, so I made this Gradle file, but I actually need to apply it to the project, right? So that happens inside our root level build.gradle. We need to do this, apply from build scripts slash versions.gradle. And now it should be able to find the reference. Nice. That looks good. So a couple things I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to do a find and replace all of the single quotes with double quotes. And let's keep going. So we're going to take this app compat and paste this in here. Another thing I'll actually share that I really like to do is when you have this file of all the version numbers, I think it's really cool if you can also put a comment that leads to those release notes. So this is just helpful if you're updating a version. You have like the release notes right in front of you, so you can go ahead and click this and like see what changed if you're updating a version number. Yeah, I'm guilty. I pretty much only look at this if it's like a major version update. If it's just a patch update, I assume that it's just like bug fixes and it's not going to break my app. It's probably not the best practice, but I have it here so that I could do it the right way. But let's do this. Let's split these files now that I've explained this process, and we can go through these all together. So, app compat. Do you know a tool that will tell us when there's a new stable version? Yes, I do. And so that is the second bullet point on our little checklist at the bottom left. Once I refactor all of these versions, I'll show you what that plugin is. But that plugin is actually in the template repo that you already linked. Um, but we'll look at it in here as well. So let's add material. I don't have all of these release notes handy, so I might not copy them all over now, but I will get there. Maybe that's something I could do off stream. Um, this is for Hilt Navigation Compose. So project.ext.versions.hilt navigation compose. We've got accompanist. So, like I said, another cool benefit of this that we'll definitely see, like I know we want to eventually have like a multi-module project here. And that's where something like this will really shine, is we can sort of share these dependencies between modules really easily. I also think there's a new compose material 3. So if there is, we'll definitely update that tonight. Um, compose material 3. Um, all right, we've got a couple more here. This should go by pretty quick. Let's do JUnit. Maybe I'll just copy them all over and then update these. Not K. We've got, is this the same? Oh, we've got coroutines test. I think this is the same as normal coroutines, but we'll call it coroutines test. Um, oh, Prince is right. Best practices are just someone's opinion. Did I use the phrase best practices? Because I've been trying to weed that out of my vocabulary. I definitely used to be very guilty, but I've been trying to weed that out. Um, like just phrasing it that way. I think there are like, oh no, well, great for catching it. Yeah. To me, the real problem there is like the word best, right? Because that's subjective. And, I think there are definitely practices that help a lot of people, and that's why we tend to use that phrase. But yeah, I don't really like the use of the word best in there. Um, I've tried to move away from that. Um, that's the same next test unit, and right, exactly. Best matters on the situation. Um, and like what makes one app, what one developer thinks helps them make a robust app is different to another developer. And I think that's why we shouldn't always use the phrase like best practices. I mean, there's a lot of terminology in the software community that is like that, which um, is interesting. Like, what's another example? Just like when I think of like clean architecture, like what does that mean? And that just means different things to different people. Um, but wording is fun, but it matters, right? Like um, I don't know. It, words matter as much as sometimes it feels semantics. I don't always think that's true either. Coroutines test truth project.exp versions.turbine. Actually, I could probably remove this espresso dependency because I don't think we use espresso because it's entirely composed app. Okay, we made one problem. Made a typo somewhere. There. Um, cool. All right, so that is step one. We moved. So now if we look at our apps build.gradle. Wait, I was wrong? I missed a couple. Whoops. Oh my God, how did I do that? Um, we missed a couple. So lifecycle is 2.3.1, and then activity compose is 1.3.1. Um, where is the best place to do mapping in domain, use case, or data layer, repository implementation? Um, that's a good question. Again, this is like, I think that's a preference. Um, in my mind, to do the strict mapping from, say, one type to another, if that's all you're doing, say from like person DTO to person, I typically just kind of do that in the repository um, when you're mapping the data types. And the reason I clarified mapping is like, I think it's fine for the repository to do that one-to-one mapping. Any other manipulation, say if you're doing filtering, sorting, something like that, then I think that's kind of a use case situation. But I think it's fine to have like your repository return like a domain model. Um, that's just my 2 cents. But some people might think that's fair. Learning to code. Hello, thank you for coming by. Um, okay, now I think that we can look at our version numbers and we've moved them all into this centralized location. So let's go ahead and commit that. Moving version numbers into centralized Gradle file. And what I can do off stream is I can go and wait, I missed Hilt version? No, I didn't. Because the reason Hilt version is different is because that's actually defined. A couple of these are defined in the project level. That's why they're on their own. I guess I could move these um, into. I don't actually know if that works. Uh, last time I tried something like this, I had issues. Because I need to reference it here inside these dependencies. So that's why it's defined up here. Kotlin could also be pulled out. But I think because I'm using it in this file, I have it as its own thing. We'll update that later. Um, but I'll check. And what I'll do off stream when I have time is in this versions file that we made, I'll go through and I'll actually finish the release notes because that will be cool to have for this project. But um, that's a little more tedious than I want to do while we're sitting here on stream. But now we can talk about the version updates plugin, which was one of MTA's questions. I know that's just um, the easiest way for me to pronounce your Twitch name. I hope that you're cool with that. If I use MTA, but um, because I just see those first three letters, and that's what I read in my head. Um, okay, Ben Main's Gradle versions plugin. So way back when, we used this on the study guide app as well. So some of you may have seen this, but always great to look at this again. Um, but this is a Gradle plugin that will check for all of our dependencies um, and alert us about ones that have new versions. So let me just drop this in chat here if anyone wants to look at it. But the way I'm going to implement this is I'm going to, gotta hydrate. Cheers. The way I'm going to implement this is I'm going to look up our template app where I added this already and copy some stuff over. So inside the build scripts folder, I made this versions plugin.gradle file. And what's special about this Gradle file here, let me copy it into Android Studio and then it might look bigger and then I can show you what's special about it. So what this file is effectively saying is we have this function right here to determine if a version is non-stable. And basically what that means is um, it has this regex that looks strictly for version numbers, 1.0.0. And if we match that regex, great. Um, but if we don't, for example, if it has like alpha '06 at the end or it has beta '06 at the end, we want to reject that. So basically this is checking for any of those non-stable versions. Does it include release candidate, alpha, beta, whatever? And then, so what we're checking here is we're basically saying when we look at a version update, reject it if it's non-stable. So this will only alert me if there is a new stable release. Now this is what I've decided is important. I only want to be notified of new stable releases, but this plugin is configurable to where you could remove that if you want to know if any sort of release is available. And I actually think that's what this Gradle release channel is. I think this is new to the plugin. Um, but I think you can, the plugin has some more like first party support for filtering out like unstable versions and looking into stuff like that. So definitely check the link in chat. Um, but in addition to that, we need to update our build.gradle file. We need to put that version number up here. So let's copy this over. Um, Actually don't need this part, I don't think. And I know that gets used in here. Well, so we add the plugin down here, and then also we want to apply that plugin configuration to all of our submodules. So we're going to do that. So that's adding the plugin. Copy and pasted from another project, but those are the three steps. Configure how you want this plugin to run, add it to your like root level dependencies, and then we also want to apply that to each of our sub projects. So when we have more modules, we will want this dependency updates to run for each of our modules. And then once that's done, actually, let me show you how this gets used. So all we have to do is Gradle W dependency updates. Nope. Oh, because I'm not in the root. Dependency updates. Cool. So now this is going to run. And what we'll see here is this will output all of them into the terminal for me. Um, we'll just got to wait for it. Happy Android. Nice. Okay. So a couple notes here. So we see, okay, there are Gradle updates. Here's some things that it couldn't find the version number for. This could happen for a number of reasons, but I'm glad it notifies you. But then we can see here things with later versions, and it tells me like the package name, the repo location, and then the difference. So we're on accompanist 0.20.0, but there's now 0.20.2. And this carries up for all of these. Um, it's actually interesting and finds one where I'm exceeding the milestone, and that's because I'm using an alpha version of Material because I wanted that dynamic theming. Um, but yeah, that's the plugin. I think it was MTA who asked about this plugin, so that's how you do that. So let's commit this, and then I'll show you how we could take this even a step further, adding version updates plugin. So some of you know that we have this tool in the project called Danger. What Danger does is it runs sort of automated checks on pull requests. Um, so let me show you an example. This will take just a couple minutes. So I'm going to make a pull request here. Um, refactoring version numbers. What is it? I don't know. Dependency versioning. Um, so moving versions into their own file and adding the version update, dependency updates plugin. So I'm going to make this pull request, and a couple things are going to happen actually, because we'll see this process here called danger runs, and that runs some automated checks against our pull request. Not like testing, right, or like compilation, but it runs checks against our pull request. It checks like, does this PR have labels? In my case, I have a cool thing where I make sure that I update my stream history file with every pull request. This one's going to fail because we haven't done that yet today. But then it's going to leave a comment on the pull request with this information. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this information that we just got, and we're going to note here, this actually gets generated into build dependency updates report.txt. We're going to take that text file and we're going to have that output onto our danger message. So every time I make a pull request, I will see what my outdated versions are. So let's go ahead and do that before I worry about fixing all these other things. Um, so to do that, I'm going to pull up some notes on my other screen, of course, um, to see how I did this, because parsing text files can be tricky. Um, but let's do it. So the other thing is, so this update gets put inside the app folder. Um, should we add that Gradle stable configuration manually? I believe the answer is yes. I've been using this plugin for a while, and by default, it would tell you if there was just a later version, so I learned that that's how you can remove it. I have no idea if the plugin has since made that easier, and I think that's a problem. Let's look at that together. Let's find out, because I would like to know how to do that, because that's a common question in here that actually should be in here. Um, so yes, so there's a section in here. Where is it? Nope, I want, hold on. There's reject version if. Um, okay, yeah, so they still have this snippet in their documentation of like, is non-stable. So actually, if you were to go back to our project, I copied this code snippet. Um, and then, yeah, we say, okay, reject if blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we do still have to add that manually for now, unfortunately. Um, but let's add this to danger. So the way we do that is we have this danger file in the project. This is a Ruby file that runs all of our checks. So just to recap what's already here, we send a message to thank the author. We check that there's a pull request description. We warn if the pull request is too long. We check for labels. We have this fun Easter egg that if we delete more code than we add, we put a little happy message for code cleanup. And then this is the one where, if my modified files does not include stream history, then I fail the pull request. So now let's add, notify of outdated dependencies. And I'm going to do the classic copy and paste from other projects, but I'm going to do it line by line so that all of you who are watching this for the first time can understand how to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is two helpful variables for parsing this file. The first one is I need to put in the file path. So I define dependency reports file as app/build dependency updates report.txt. The second thing is the header that I want to look for when we have outdated dependencies. And so that's this string right here. It's if I have outdated dependencies, the report file will say the following dependencies have later milestone versions. So this is kind of like tightly coupled to how the plugin works. If they ever change this string in the plugin, in theory, this flow will break. But I think this is still good because we've defined, hey, here's a key to know that we do have updates. And so once we have this, great, we can move forward. So we can basically copy code that, in short, if you're unfamiliar with Ruby, what this is doing is we're checking if the file has this header. So we do file.readlines, we grep any file that contains dependency header, and then this any basically says, like, do any of these lines contain this code? So that's how we determine, hey, this file does say that we have things that are out of date. So if we do, we're going to go into this code block. I'm going to say if we have the header, open the file, get the index of that header, and then print out everything from that header down. And the reason for that is because it will print stuff in the beginning to say, like, hey, here are all of your versions that are up to date. And that's just noise in the pull request. I want to know the stuff that's coming after this. So, well, read the header. The following dependencies. I want to know what those dependencies are. So that's why we get the index and then we do file.slice from that index. And then we do this, we have this like syntax here. Again, I don't really know Ruby, but you can read this as to the end of the line or to the end of the file. So let's try it out. Adding, actually, this will not work right away. And I've been burned by this before, every time. So just something to keep in mind. You won't catch this unless you've been burned by it a million times. I can add this to my danger file and this will run. But a problem we're going to have is when danger runs this right now, it's never going to find this file because I'm not telling my GitHub Actions workflow to run this Gradle task. So we can fix that. We have this danger checks. This is a GitHub Actions workflow that runs on pull requests. And this is the script right here. We do gem install bundler, bundle install, and then we exec danger. So really anytime before I exec danger, I can do this. But let's put it at the beginning. We just tell it to run Gradle W dependency updates. So now it will run this Gradle task that generates the text file that can be read when this line is executed. Have you found other GitHub Actions workflows you've integrated for work? No, well, we don't use GitHub Actions at work, but I've learned about an interesting one that maybe we can look at tonight for developer experience, actually. Uh, so we use this tool at work called Coveralls, which is a tool that like tracks code coverage over time. you can use whatever tool you want to generate your code coverage, and then you have it send that code coverage report to coveralls, and then it tracks that like over time. And we found a cool. We use Bitrise at work, but we found a cool Bitrise flow that like does that coveralls magic for us automatically. Um, there might be some sort of like danger GitHub Actions runners out there that don't require this like setup Ruby and all that other stuff. I don't know if that's true. I wonder if anyone's written about that. I know someone wrote a post on like GitHub Actions for Android developers, which covered the classic build, test, UI test sort of flow. But I'd be curious. Like, I don't know what I don't know, and people are probably doing really cool stuff out there. I do want to eventually do like publishing for the for this project, like publishing to the Play Store, and I would love to automate that. Uh, some bridge we can cross when we get to it. But actually, let's check these off our to-do list. Um, and we'll have to wait for danger to run. I guess I could fix these other things while I am. Let's add a label. Let's call this tech debt. Um, and then let's update stream history. So, oh, I need to add YouTube. I need to add PRs to this. We'll do that. So I guess this is stream 9. So in this stream, we refactored how dependency versions are managed and added a plugin to help us identify out-of-date dependencies. So we'll add that, and then what we can do is once this runs, we can update these versions. Oh, look at that, it's beautiful. Let's zoom in. So this is really great. We have a comment on our pull request that says the following dependencies have later milestone versions, and here's everything that's out of date. So this is really cool. Like this is happens automatically, so I don't have to manually check for version updates ever. Every time I change a piece of code, it will tell me, hey, this thing is out of date, and here's what the new version is. So, given that information, I'm going to open it on my other window, and we're going to go ahead and update all of these. Um, yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that we got this working. So, and this is, again, self-plug. This dependency updates plugin and the danger rule is in the Android template repo that I've made. So you get this out of the box just by using that template repo. I still have some cleanup I want to do on the template. I want to make it easier to refactor the package name and get rid of like the template code, but it's no, I it's normal font size. It's just blown up because my screen is shrunk. There, that a little better. Um, yeah. So now that we have this, I pulled this up on my other screen, and what we can do is we can update all of these. Um, so let's figure out what needs to be updated. So Activity Compose has a new version, um, which is we're just gonna blindly update on this app. If something breaks, it breaks. Compose is defined elsewhere. Um, and that is 1.0.5 now. Nice. Um, we've got, okay, life cycle is now 2.4. We've got turbine is now 0.7.0. I love you too, Prince. Um, accompanist, right? 0.20.2. Um, hilt, that's defined over here as well. And that is now 2.40. Um, I don't think I can update the Kotlin version because that will conflict with Compose. It usually does. Coroutines test is now 1.5.2, and also defined elsewhere is KT-lint. It looks like there's a new KT-lint version. So that's going to be 43.0. Oh, and our Gradle plugin can be updated. So instead of 7.0.2, this is 7.3. And it looks like this has an update. 7.0.3. Okay, let's do a sync, make sure this works. I also might do like a local Gradle build just to make sure that all these work. What is our target SDK on this project? Um, you see, we only have one module, but notice this app file was never changed. So if I follow this and I have like 10 different modules, that 2-minute process I just did will affect all of those modules, and I don't have to worry about updating all of their corresponding build.gradle files. Okay, we are targeting 31. I'm having an issue at work that I can't figure out uh where I'm trying to update my work app to target SDK 31 and I can't. And it's because there's some dependency somewhere that like has a manifest merging issue and I can't figure out which dependency it is and I've sank so much time into this problem. Um Make a tutorial that focuses on one topic on YouTube. Is there any topic in particular that you would like to see me talk about over there? I have some ideas, but it's always hard to find time for recording for YouTube. Um, Clean build, make sure this works. This should hopefully build pretty quickly. Um, yeah, that was it on the dev experience front that I wanted to work on, um, which got us through a good chunk of time. Um, because I have like at most another hour to stream. I was gonna keep it short tonight. Uh, we're dog sitting, and 2 dogs is a lot of work in this apartment. Um, but yeah, I wanted to also look at like code coverage. I thought that would be a cool thing to set up now, um, and then track that sort of as we go. But I don't know if I want to do that tonight. I feel like I need to do a little more research on my own first. So maybe once we do this, it'd be cool. I can make this like a stopping point in a couple minutes, and I'll split up the YouTube video for this stream. Um, because that's one thing I've realized I'd like to do is I should probably split up more stream YouTube videos. I do when the stream gets really long. But it's probably a good idea to keep doing it and split them up into smaller chunks where we focus on sort of one thing or one small set of things. Um, Sometimes it happens where you spend 3 hours working on the login screen and there's no way to split up that video. But for something like this, if we do switch back into the UI stuff, I'll split this up. The build failed. This version of Compose compiler requires Kotlin version 1.5.31. Okay, so that's my fault. I said, hey, I'm not going to update the Kotlin version because Compose usually yells at me. And this time Compose yelled at me because I didn't update my Kotlin version. Um, so let's sync that. And actually, let's push it because we want that to start running if we're going to move on to the next thing. Um, okay, let's take a look at that in a second. It might be. I know that everyone in the Android world uses like Jacoco, um, and like that's what we use at Capsule. But let's see here. So okay, so this is by Kotlin. It's called Cover. This is an appropriate naming. Um, Gradle plugin for code coverage agents, IntelliJ, and Jacoco. Okay, yeah, so it's still please. And this is spelled this way because I never realized this. Jacoco is Java code coverage. Thought it was just a clever name. Had no idea that someone was like combining the words like that. Um, wait, Prince, you didn't know that either? Oh my God. I'm glad I could blow all of your minds. Yeah. Like it's spelt this way. It's Java code coverage. That's why they capitalize those letters the way that they do. Um, so collect the code coverage for JVM test tasks, XML and HTML reports. Kotlin Android support with dividing them into build types and flavors. Nice. Okay. So we add the plugin. Here's the class path, blah, blah, blah. This is for a single module project, right? Okay. This is what I would do because I still use this setup. Um, so, okay. I'm just looking at, okay. This is kind of cool. Maybe we can try this out. Um, just as bad as Portmanteau. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Oh, nope, this is, okay. Oh my God, I missed a dependency. That's so annoying. Okay, I still have KTX core. So let's find that. This is 1.7 and update that. Um, okay, this would be cool. We can, since, okay, how do I want to do this? All right, I think at this moment, I'm pausing so that I can remember to go back and do this. That we'll take what we did with these version updates. We have to wait for the pull request to finish, but I'm confident that it will, and that it will succeed. So we'll break this part into two on YouTube. We'll put all the like version number refactoring into its own YouTube video, and then let's spend the next little bit of time, because I do want to keep this stream potentially shorter. Let's play around with this cover thing. Let's see if we can add it to our project. And then if I can get local coverage reports, maybe we'll look into coveralls and like being able to like track that over time. And going from there. I think that would be interesting. So we'll look at this together and we'll see if we can add it. So, but I kind of want to, I hate moving on before pull requests finish.